We're down at Lobster Shop. I'm here with Paul Donovan, the general manager. We're gonna get some lunch, have a podcast. What are we having for lunch today?
We're gonna do some fresh seafood, sit out on the patio, enjoy some drinks.
All right, on you?
I think so, yeah.
All right, let's go. Come on,
cool.
let's go. All right, before we go out to the patio and get lunch, first, what is this space for, and can we get a bottle of wine?
Absolutely. So this is a semi-private dining space. This is the Rainier room.
Okay.
It's called Rainier because you get beautiful views of Mount Rainier off in the distance there. It's right next to our red wine room, so easy access for you. I know you enjoy your vino.
I'm Reid Fetters with Tacoma Rising, and I'm at the Lobster Shop today with two good friends of mine, Jim Rowe and Paul Donovan. Thank you guys for joining on this awesome, beautiful summer day, spring-ish summer day.
We'll call it summer.
Summer, all right. Okay, and you guys were with E3 Restaurant Group, also the Lobster Shop down here, and this is not the first time we've met. I've known you guys for about a year and a half now. I think it feels like it's been a long time, in a good way. But just taking a step back, we met, Jim, you and I met about a year and a half ago, and it started because it was last March. I was up at the Metropolitan Grill, and I was talking to the bartender, and they had mentioned, or we had mentioned that we're from Tacoma, and they said, oh, hey, you know what, we're in Tacoma too. I go, you are? I was like, where are you guys at? And they said, the Lobster Shop. And I was like, wait, hold on. Wait, you guys are at the Lobster Shop too? You have this at the Lobster Shop? They go, yeah. And so the next day, immediately we came, and I was walking around taking pictures, and I posted something like I normally do, and just was basically just talking about how great the Lobster Shop is. The food is incredible, and I hadn't been here for several years. And so that's kind of where it spun off from there, and someone had reached out and said, hey, would you like to meet one of the owners? I was just said, I'd love to meet one of the owners, and I think we met at Fir Crest Golf Course.
Yep.
So from there, it's been all downhill.
Yeah.
And you guys have been awesome. You've helped us cater events, and this relationship's been fantastic. So thank you for jumping on the podcast with us today, and I'm really excited to tell the story about the Lobster Shop. The Lobster Shop, oh my gosh, absolutely. But before we get into the Lobster Shop, the story's bigger than that. Can you give us a 30,000 or 50,000 foot view of E3 Restaurant Group?
So Reid, first off, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. We're happy to be here. It's been good to get to know you. A little bit about E3 Restaurant Group. E3 actually started as Consolidated Restaurants back in 1951. The Cohn family owned it. And had a variety of different restaurant operations in Seattle and the greater Seattle area. And I bought the company in 2018. Had run it prior to that for almost 18 years. And we currently have, so when I bought it, that's when it changed to E3 Restaurant Group, and there's a good story behind the E3. But we currently have the Metropolitan Grill in downtown Seattle in the financial district. We have Elliott's Oyster House down on the Seattle waterfront. And then we have a small chicken wing concept called Wing Dome. And we've got 3 of those in Seattle. And now we have Lobster Shop down here in Tacoma, and are enjoying it and happy with it. Yeah.
What made you comfortable enough to step into the Tacoma market after being in Seattle so long that you felt, one, that Tacoma was a good market, and two, Lobster Shop was the right next move for you guys?
Good question. So we have actually been in Tacoma for quite a while. We had a restaurant concept called Steamers, which was a fish and chip restaurant. kind of a quick serve. And we had that restaurant down on Titlow Beach for probably close to 30 years. That restaurant's been closed now for 7 or 8 years. So we're very familiar with Tacoma. We know the community, we know the market to a degree. Lobster Shop's a little bit different, but so we felt comfortable, and for a long time had been looking for an opportunity to do something in Tacoma. And when the Lobster Shop became available, we were very interested. It fits into, we're familiar with seafood restaurants, waterfront restaurants, because they're seasonal. There's intricacies to those operations that we're familiar with, and it's a pretty special spot. So yeah.
Well, it fits right in with what you're doing, and I hadn't really thought about that much until you just said that. It's right up your alley. I mean, being on the water, being seafood, steak, it fits the model that you guys are building. Now, when I came in, clearly it was a rebrand. I don't know how much you gutted, but I know you've done a lot of work in here, and it's a different restaurant. But you kept the name, you kept the Lobster Shop. What made you think that that's the right move instead of coming in and saying, you know what, we're going to plant a flag and we're going to do Metropolitan 2? Metropolitan Grill 2. Right. Obviously, that had been a terrible name, but what made you keep the Lobster Shop?
It's a good question. We asked ourselves that, and we actually went through a pretty extensive exercise about rebranding, and we considered a lot of alternatives. A seafood restaurant was definitely what we would go with, because it's waterfront. But at the end of the day, the brand equity that the Lobster Shop had in the Tacoma area, and actually in the greater Tacoma, Seattle area, we thought was strong enough to just lean in to that. And so that's what we went with, and we're happy we did that. Yeah.
Well, along with the rebrand, you kept the name, but you changed a few menu items, which might have caused a little grief. What happened? What was the response when you reopened with the new menu? How did that go?
Well, it's funny. And I'm doing all the talking here. I'll hand off to Paul here in a minute, because he's much closer to the place than I am, because he spends most of his life here as the general manager. But when we first bought it, we took us about a year. We closed down and we remodeled it. And it's funny, with any restaurant, while it's our restaurant, we own it. It's really the guest's restaurant. And so people feel a lot of ownership with the restaurants that they go to, and the Lobster Shop is no exception. And so whenever you make changes, there's always going to be, they're not always going to land with everybody. And so you just have to trust your gut, and that's what we did. And we made physical changes to the restaurant that I think were very well received, even though there's some people who probably missed the fish tank. And the menu items. I'm going to let Paul talk about the menu.
Yeah, tell us about the menu.
So Lobster Shop it's a local restaurant. People have been coming here for decades, and with that you get favorite items and all of that stuff. When we came in, along with the much needed remodel, there was some things with the menu that could use some brushing up and some changes. So we implemented those, and we're always listening for feedback. And people have their favorite items and stuff. And when I start hearing, oh, I want this back, and I'm hearing it from everybody, crew included, it's like, hey, why don't we try that out? Let's test it. Maybe brush it up. Maybe change some of the ingredients in it, and bring it on there. And we've seen a lot of success with that. It's important to listen to the guests and crew alike. And if it's an item that's popular and it does well, let's put it on the menu. Try it out. So. Yeah, it's been a big piece for us. Calamari is a really good example of that. We had people who were like, you took the calamari off, we're never coming here ever again.
I was doing a Google search
Yeah.
on Lobster Shop, and all I heard was the calamari used to be spectacular.
Yeah,
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, no,
I
it's
can understand
but you get people who are just so adamant about it, and it's like, man, it's like let's look at it,
Yeah,
it's
give
at
people what
least
they want,
yeah. Peanut butter pie is another one recently that we oh my gosh, it's insane. Yeah, I was hearing it so much that I'm like, what are these guys talking about? And then finally, I talked to our head chef Rena, and she made one, and I tried it. I was like, okay, I can see why people love this thing. So bringing it on, and it's well received and important. But yeah, that's a big piece of running any kind of business, is listening to that feedback and being receptive with it.
I'm making a joke about it now, but it's true. They've been coming. It's a staple, right? They've been coming for a long time, and you take something they really love away, and not by you weren't trying to make anyone happy, but there's things that they're, and then just kind of like got to listen and be like, you know what? Okay, maybe we should put that back. Maybe that was a hit at one point. So when people come into the space now, it's easy to look and be like, well, the menu's different. The fish tank's gone. Some things are different. Yeah. What are things that people may miss that you guys are doing now that wasn't here before? That you like the highlight on? I'm going to jump into it because I got one in mind. I'm going to make it easy for you. The customer service here. When I come in, there's a couple servers that know who we are when we come in. They ask where my son is, or no son tonight, no Weston tonight, and or they ask, they know my drink I want or the food. You guys want this again? And we talk about stuff that has nothing to do with food and joke around and stuff. And it feels so good to go to a place that people know who you are, and you feel like you are welcome there, and you feel like it's just a place that that you get to go and know somebody, and I don't know, they care to remember you enough to ask you questions, and I think that's awesome. I think that culture spills over from probably what you guys do internally.
Absolutely, yeah. With E3 Restaurant Group, one of the things that, in my opinion, we excel at is the consistency. And with all the brands that you go to, you can have expectations that you're going to have a phenomenal meal, you're going to have phenomenal service, you're just going to have an all-around amazing experience. We were fortunate with taking over Lobster Shop that there was an amazing foundation, like incredible crew members, obviously incredible location, and there were some things where it's like, hey, we're going to take these pieces and we'll be able to implement some of the stuff that we've done at our other concepts and just kind of incorporate it in and just build up, which is already a great brand, and just kind of make it, this is E3, this is what you expect. Because if you go to Elliott's Oyster House, you should expect a similar experience here, and then same thing at the Metropolitan Grill. So yeah, our dining and attention to detail is something that I'm proud of, that I think we're all proud of with this. And when I'm getting feedback from guests and getting the kudos, it's rarely ever one aspect of a meal. It's usually the second I came in, I was greeted by amazing front desk people, and then waters right away. Service was amazing. The wine captain guided me in the right direction. Beautiful view. So it's like this all-encompassing kind of experience that I think we do really well at. And that's what you expect at the other restaurants.
And you've brought that experience down from Seattle. What are let's start with the differences between the two markets. What's different in Seattle that you don't see in Tacoma? And what's different in Tacoma that you don't see in Seattle that you guys navigate and kind of have to understand when you're doing restaurants like this?
I would say, and the markets are very different. The thing I would say is most prominent is Tacoma. This is very much a community restaurant. Lobster Shop is a community restaurant, and so and Paul has spent time. Paul's been with us for
going on 14
years, and he's been at Elliott's. He's been at the Met. And so he appreciates what our culture is, and he's helped bring some of that down to Lobster Shop just to help build on it, because Lobster Shop had a pretty darn good foundation of that to begin with. But Tacoma is very much, it's a community restaurant. So you get a lot of regulars. You get, when you talk about people who want their calamari, they want their calamari, and they know the team down here. And so that's very much not that we don't have that up in Seattle, but it's not as much. Seattle has I'll use the word transient. I don't know that that's the right term, but you get. You get a lot of people coming in for, whether it's, big events, Seahawk game, World Cup would be a great example coming up. You get a lot, the cruise industry in Seattle during the summer brings a lot of people who are just visiting. And so there isn't as much of a community element to those two restaurants, though we embrace that. And so that's very different. Where down here in Tacoma, it's funny. Our business, while we're in the restaurant industry, we're really in the hospitality. That we're about hospitality, and so that's we need to lean into that almost more here at the Lobster Shop because we're supporting a community. Yeah,
I think that's spot on, because when I think about going to Metropolitan Grill, I'm not up there thinking, you know what, I'm gonna go see what Jim's up to. I'm gonna pop in and see if Jim's there, or someone that I know. I'm going up there because it's the best steak in town, the food's excellent, it's a great experience. I'm going up there because what it is. However, down here, great food as well, but literally, I'm like, I wonder if Paul's in. I'm gonna pop in and see Paul. Every time I come in, I always ask, is Paul here? And they're like, yeah, he's somewhere. And all right, I'll text him, or just.
He's hiding from.
Yeah, he goes, yeah, don't. He's gone. He knew you were coming. He saw you pull in, so he took out. But that's a different experience. And I literally, when we come in, we're like, I wonder if Paul's in. And so I always ask, because I always like, this is where I get to see you, or like, and you're usually. We'll pop it at some time and we'll chit chat for a little bit, but that's what I'm coming for. And the food's great too. It's not that, but we're like, that's the added piece that if we're thinking about where we want to go, it's like, hey, let's go down and see what they're doing now at the Lobster Shop. And that's a real, because I text you when I come in, or I say, hey, is Paul in? So that's like, and I hadn't really thought about that, but we'll literally drive by and I was like, let's go see what Paul's doing. And that's a whole different vibe than what I would do in Seattle.
And it's, to take any focus off me. I mean, we have crew members here that have been here for decades. And it's just I felt it the most when I was at the Met, where somebody shows me a photo of a little baby and they're sitting in a booth at the Met, and then it's 18 years later and they're in the same booth, and now it's like a young adult kind of thing. That's special. That's really, really cool. And to be able to have that kind of experience and to be a part of something like that is really, really cool. So this is home for a lot of people. Our crew view this as a family. And our guests view this as a home away from home. It's a good way to escape anything that's going on outside, have your celebrations, do your experiences and stuff. And I think this is just an awesome spot to do that.
I agree. Now, similarities. What do you see in both cities that you're like, yeah, that's the Pacific Northwest?
Food. I mean, Pacific Northwest, you expect high quality seafood, so that's definitely a given. And then just kind of the Pacific Northwest mentality, energy. The sun comes out, you want to go and you want to be near the water and wear some shorts, maybe when it's still a little bit too cool to do it. But yeah, the outdoorsy kind of experience, which I think this place is kind of cool because you're in Tacoma, but feels like an escape a little bit away from the city. But yeah, just kind of the sun's out and come out and have some fun, get some drinks.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say yes to all that, but when you talk about food. And people want to know where their food's coming from, where they're, just that connection, and that's very much a similarity, regardless of where you're at in this region, whether it's Seattle or Tacoma, and I think we do a good job of leaning into that and letting people know what as much as possible, what they're eating, how it's prepared, what they're drinking, where it's coming from.
Big fan of the savory martini, which is funny because it literally when we were up there and came down the next night, we saw they were both on the same menu. We're like, oh my gosh, they've got it down here because it was phenomenal. And so it was, it's definitely, I know that's entirely a silly thing to bring up, but it was the fact that I knew, for me, that I knew that we were going to get the same experience down here that we get up there. And that to me is one of my favorite things about that I know we're going to get awesome experience here and its community. Like someone may have a picture of them when they were 18 months old and then 18, and you've got those two pictures. But down here, you have families that come in here and spend years coming here, and they have a lot of pictures, and you've built so many memories of those. And that's what's cool. And I talk about that a lot because I've got a 7-year-old after sports, and games and stuff. We look for places to go, and that's what I love about Tacoma and the restaurants down here. It is a community, and it feels like when the restaurants support that, it's a double dose here. You get that really cool community vibe and the expectation that you'd see in Seattle.
Yeah. See, Reid, what we're expecting is that your son's going to bring his first prom date down here for dinner.
I don't know that
He's still going to be using your credit card.
Well, she may meet me and not want to go. She may no, but that's funny. But that's the goal, and I hope he does. I hope I have a credit card at that point in my life still.
With some good limit, I have no doubt.
I hope that limit keeps growing. There you go. Corporate dining is, I would like to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that is probably the backbone of the Metropolitan Grill, the corporate dining. It's a little different down here. We don't have quite the corporate business structure in Tacoma. How is the business community showing up here in comparison to what you might see in Seattle? Are you seeing it grow? Or are you seeing it, because now that hopefully we're getting past COVID and the aftermath of that, is that something that's building here, or maybe it's already established? How does that feel?
Yeah. I mean, we do a lot of private dining and semi-private dining events at the Lobster Shop. We're not as close proximity to large businesses and corporations like you get in Seattle, but we are a destination for those get-togethers, those quick meetings. It's a lot in lunchtime, but we do see it quite a bit from business travelers staying, on Ruston Way or somewhere downtown, coming in and having a nice meal. We're starting to see a little bit more momentum behind the business travelers. I know with COVID and kind of coming out of that, there was a bit of pause for places, and now people are kind of comfortable going out and doing that. So we've been seeing a positive growth in that department, and just trying to build on it.
There, unfortunately, well, for someone that works downtown, there's not a lot of places to go for lunch in Tacoma. And this is a great location. And there is a little distance there, but Tacoma is coming back, and there's a lot of really good things happening down there. And I don't know if that will change for restaurants to open up, but I have people tell me all the time that they bring clients here, they bring people from out of town here, because it's part of that tour they like to give along Ruston Way. And I know that this is it's a lunch favorite to a lot of folks in the business, and hopefully I see that grows as we start filling up more and more downtown. But there's something different in the air in Tacoma this year, and every year it gets stronger and stronger. And I think having these great options, that is only going to help us. And I'm glad we are seeing businesses come down from Seattle and starting to put their toes into the water. I know you guys have been here a long time, but you came back, and I think that's critical for us, because we're not a city that we don't need a huge headquarters to come to town. We just need satellite offices. We just need people to come down and participate, and I think that's where those things start to take over. And I think what you guys have brought down here with this has been really incredible, because it gives more opportunity for people to give them experience like they would up in Seattle. So that's me thanking you guys. I didn't know I was headed that direction, but that's really, what's something that, Or can you share more or less, like if a business wanted to do a corporate lunch down here, what can they expect? How do they set up? Who do they reach out to? We're doing a little marketing ad for you guys right now. So if you want to look at the camera, you don't have to. But tell us, like, what's the process? How do they get it and to reach out and book something or do? And how difficult is it?
It's not difficult at all.
You don't leave when they see, like me, you don't pull out.
So we're in the Olympic room right now. So this is our private dining space. We have a semi-private space opposite side of the restaurant from here. So if you want an enclosed setup where you can do an AV presentation, we have all those options. If you're looking for something smaller in the dining room, we can do that. But if you're interested in doing private dining space or semi-private, you can just visit our website, and then in the private dining section, you can do an event inquiry, and our private dining team, who's located above the Metropolitan Grill in our corporate office, gets back to you right away. Tons of options. I mean, it's an extremely flexible sort of thing. If you wanted to do just appetizers, you can do that. Just drinks, full sit down, any kind of scale if you wanted to. We do a lot of business functions, pharmaceuticals, things along those lines. AV gets utilized quite a bit, and it's an enjoyable space, especially if you're having people from out of state, out of the country coming in. Pacific Northwest, you think waterfront, you think seafood, all of that. This is a good spot to do that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Do you guys cater?
That's a trick question.
that is a trick question. Yeah, you know the answer to that one.
I do know, and I know it very well. But tell us, run us through the catering piece of that, because you guys have at least 3 events. You guys have catered.
Yeah, three or four, something like
Maybe
that.
5. I don't know.
That's kind of how. That's kind of how. Yeah, that's kind of how we were introduced, more or less. With that. So it's something that I know in the past, previous to E3, they've done some iterations of some, catering or oven ready sort of things like we've done at the Med and at Elliott's. We don't have like a full-on catering branch to things. You were actually one of the first people to come and say, hey, like this is what we have going on. Can we make it work? And we made it work.
Mm-hmm.
I think the guests.
Oh, it was, yeah, they won't stop talking about it. Yeah.
and then you bring finger sandwiches next time, and they're like, what the hell?
Yeah, we set something out, and they walked in, what's this shit? Where's the Lobster Shop? And we're like, oh, okay.
You set yourself up with that.
We did, and every time we've done it, and I don't know, it's been at least 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
We've always gotten great feedback.
It's a great question, and as I listen to Paul answer it, we don't have a catering function, but what we do is we're here to make friends, and we're here to build relationships.
Yeah.
And at all of our restaurants, when we meet someone and someone likes what we're doing, and they want to talk about something that takes us outside of our standard in-restaurant experience, we'll have the conversation.
Yeah.
And in particular, I would say down here, especially with the business community, where those opportunities come up, probably more, and someone would want something that's more off-site. Our goal is to get to yes, and as long as it works for us and it works for them, that's what we want to do. We want to make friends.
Well, you've made a lot of friends down here, from what I can see, and we are a lot of fans too. And what I'll say to add to that, you guys took a lot of that stuff off our plate. Like, we didn't have to worry about stuff, and when we do events, you just made it so easy. And that's like when we have some idea coming up, and Beck will say, "Hey, what do you want to do with the food?" I go, "Just like call Paul." Or call Lobster Shop. Yeah, call Paul. That's a good one. Better call Paul. But no, and that's the partnership that I think is great, and that's why I hopefully it grows and we see more and more of that. And I think and it will, because I do think we're going to continue to get more folks coming down here, and there's a lot of things being built up right now, and I think that's important, is the partnerships. Yeah. And so, okay, let's take a step back on maybe just bigger picture of restaurants in general. You guys have been doing this a long time. What are some misconceptions about the restaurant industry? Because you guys have multiple successful restaurants, and we see a lot of them open and close, and just that's the nature. It is really, really hard. Give us a misconception about that. Like, I mean, you guys make it look so easy. I mean, it runs in here like just. There's probably never anything going wrong here. Everything's just works itself out. Like, what's a misconception of people having when they walk in and these guys are crushing it? This is easy. I should go open with one.
You know, it's funny. I guess two things I would say, and I don't know if misconception is the right word, but it's one thing I hear regularly, and I love this business. I love this industry. It's a labor of love, but it's fun. It's, I consider myself blessed, and I think a lot of people on our team feel the same way to do what we do. That said, when people say the restaurant business is hard, they have no idea. They really don't, and that's fine, because you don't, like, to your point, we want to make it look easy, right? And it should be easy. Yeah. Paul kind of referred to it earlier. When people come into a restaurant, in particular a restaurant like Lobster Shop or Met Grill, Elliott's, they're looking to get away from things, unless they're in for a business, lunch or something like that. But by and large, people are looking to kind of get away from things, a little respite, if you will. And so we have to make it look easy. And I guess the other misconception would be when someone comes in on a Friday night and says, "Oh my God, you're crushing it. You must be making money hand over fist." They should come in on a Monday night. Yeah. They should come in on a Tuesday night. But again, that's with any business, right? It ebbs and flows, and so just appreciate that it's a business, and we have to run it like a business, and so and we have our ups and downs. But other than that, I don't know that there are a lot of misconceptions, and if there are, that's fine.
I remember, I don't know what we were talking about, but the conversation came up about where do you make more, what items do you make money on, what items do you lose money on, is it like so close, like whether it's the lobster or the steak or whatever. I just remember you throwing out some data that was very precise, and I just looked over and go, gosh, I'm glad I don't do this. I was like, I don't know how you do it. I think it's incredible what you do, but you have to know so much, and there's so many things that people have no idea what goes on behind the scenes of that stuff. And I think it's really cool.
Well, I think the industry as a whole, just the idea of owning a restaurant is kind of romanticized in ways. They see their movies, they see their shows, or they go, I eat out every week, and they're like, I should do this, and it's like,
I have a good recipe.
There's a couple, I've heard the whole, the talk of like the percentage of restaurants that fail in a certain, and I think there's some embellishment. There's some if you dig through some of the data in that, but I do think it's a romanticized kind of things that, not having, like you talk about product costs and food costs and things like that, like knowing that element, and then how to order, and then this piece, and how much does this glassware cost, and all, like there's a lot of pieces that go into this. But kind of going back to Jim, when you're coming in here, you don't need to worry about any of that. Come in, have a good meal. Things might be on fire at the back, but we'll make sure you have a good meal, kind of thing. Yeah. So we try and keep it out of the restaurant as much as possible.
When you can make it look really easy, that's successful. That's crazy. Like, and you guys do. So, last question, kind of following up with the previous question. What advice would you guys give, both of you, what advice would you give to someone that wanted to either start their own restaurant or a food concept with a food truck or whatnot, whatever it is in the food and bev world, if they wanted to start their own thing, what advice would you give them? And it can't be don't do it.
Well, you stole that one from me, Reid. No, actually, I wouldn't say that. But in this industry, I would say go in with eyes wide open, talk to people that in the business, and if you don't know people in the business, go meet some people, in the business. And when you first, if you're going to build a restaurant, buy a restaurant, when you first start your investment, and and you've calculated what you think it's going to cost you, double it.
Yeah.
Because that's just to be safe, and be prepared to work a lot.
Yeah.
And to work really hard. And the other thing I would say is just make sure that you really love what you think you're stepping into. Because if you do, and you're willing to work hard, and you're very passionate about what it is you're going to do, you'll probably find success. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
And hire really good people like Paul.
I thought that was going to be your advice.
But that's really, it's true. It's true. It's having, we're blessed here with really, when I say here, E3 Restaurant Group, each one of our restaurants has a lot of people who have been with us for a long time. And I think they appreciate where they work. We appreciate them. It's very mutual. And so having really solid people on your team that you trust is essential. And we're fortunate that way, and that's how Paul operates this restaurant. And yeah, so that's a big part of it.
I'm not an owner operator, but I'd say for anyone who's interested in getting into the industry, studying the market, learning the market, where are you going to be at, and what makes sense there, and knowing your competition, and just kind of knowing just your area, I think is really big. And then kind of touching on with what Jim said, you got to be passionate. You got to be head over heels in love with this industry to even think about doing that. It shouldn't be a side project. It shouldn't be something that you're not committed to putting 100% of your effort into. But it's a beautiful industry. It's a beautiful thing to be a part of people's lives, and to have the great feedback, and to be in the hecticness that's going on. I love it. It's therapeutic for me in some sick sense. But I think bringing passion into this industry, it goes a long way. And we see it from everyone, and not just Jim and management. It's the crew that we have here. They're passionate about this industry, and they want to see the success of this restaurant. They want to see the success of Ruston Way. They want people to be coming into Tacoma, and to do that, we have to provide excellent service, excellent food quality, and just an excellent experience. So just be passionate about whatever you're getting into.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's funny as I listen to Paul talk when it comes to this, and the great thing about this industry is even though at times people may not have had the experience they want, if that's happening, and you get to turn that around, and you get to take a table who's having a tough night, and you get to turn it around, and they leave happy. When he says beautiful, that's a beautiful thing. And just the opportunity that we get to, so you bring your son in, and we make memories for you. We make people happy. They leave, and they're talking about what a great night they had. That's pretty cool.
I have to share something with you. I don't know if I told you this, but my son Wes and I were sitting right over here, just down below, and he does this food critic podcast, and
he has his own podcast.
Yeah, like
that's cool.
it's more of a Instagram thing, and I've got to post a couple, but he's been doing it for probably about a year.
Cool.
And the very first one I posted was here, I'm pretty sure, and we sat down there, and he was telling this story of something he remembered, and he gave the burger. I think you were the second best burger behind Frisco Freeze, maybe. So it might have been the second, or I don't know. It was one of the very first ones, but I watch it all the time because he's so animated telling this story, and he's like 5 or 6, but he has done more of those, and I've watched it, but I always go back to that first one, and I was like, that was the coolest one, but it was right here, and I don't think I don't remember if I tagged or anything, and you guys in it or not, but I was going back to it. It just made me laugh that you were talking, or I was just thinking about, you were saying these memories, and I was like, yeah, I remember that. That's a really good memory, because he was just so, he was just so animated about it, and I was like, oh boy, I think I might have a podcaster on our hands. So anyway, that's all I have. I appreciate it. We're gonna go get some food. We're gonna try out some stuff. Definitely, it says down here, try the calamari, so we're gonna get the calamari. But thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Reid.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right.
See you guys soon.
And
Okay,
then,
a little bit of this.
little champagne mignonette. It's a nice, refreshing zing to it.
And then a little bit, I'm using the same fork.
You can do some cocktails.
Is that okay?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Do that.
And then, yeah, just down the hatch.
Just down the hatch. Just mix it all up there and see what we got here. Wow.
In my humble opinion, it doesn't get much more Pacific Northwest than that.
Wow. That is fantastic too. That's a good combination.
Isn't that good?
Yeah.